Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Madeline, and today I am here to bring you my August wrap-up and my September to be read. Recently I've been making this into two separate videos, but this particular month I don't have a ton to report on either front, so I decided to just combine my wrap-up and TBR into one video this month. So starting off with my wrap-up for the month of August, I managed to read 4 books during August, which is pretty average for me during months when I have a lot going on, which I did during August. I moved, I traveled, I started school again. Like I say, during months that I have a lot of stuff going on, I tend to average about a book a week. The first book I completed during the month of August was You Will Know Me by Megan Abbott. This is a mystery thriller that centers around a family who has a daughter named Devin who is getting into the world of elite gymnastics. I decided to pick this one up because the Olympics were starting and I had just watched the gymnastics trials and I heard someone mention this book. It came out I think at the end of July, and I decided it would be the perfect read for the Olympics. You Will Know Me was my first Megan Abbott novel, and I must say I really did enjoy it, and I will definitely be picking up more of her books in the future. I'm not going to say too much about You Will Know Me in this particular video just because I have a review of it going up on my book blog tomorrow where you can see my thoughts more in depth, but basically I loved the family elements of this story. Yes, it is a mystery and a thriller, but primarily, it's a family-centric story. It centers around Knox family, and all of their lives center around Devin and her gymnastics career. And I thought that it was a great examination of family. This book definitely showed a darker side to the world of elite gymnastics. I've heard from some that the gymnastics elements were a bit unrealistic. I wouldn't know because I don't know enough about the sport to speak on that, but I will say I enjoyed it. I liked getting a more in-depth look at this world, especially because I learned things that I hadn't really thought about regarding gymnastics before, such as the taboo that surrounds puberty and growing breasts and getting your period and how that affects your athletic abilities. And in women's gymnastics, there's like this serious taboo and like fear of puberty, and I hadn't even considered that before, but that was really interesting to read about. I prefer character-driven stories, and I will say this book, even though it was a thriller, was definitely more character-driven than plot-driven. The mystery element of the book was super easy to figure out, I'm not gonna lie. It was so obvious. But the real intrigue of You Will Know Me did not lie in who committed the murder, but rather in how and why and the motivations and the different factors that went into it. Overall, I enjoyed You Will Know Me. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars, and I will definitely be reading more of Megan Abbott's books in the future. Next book that I read during the month of August was The Beauty of Darkness by Mary E. Pearson. This is the third and final book in the Remnant Chronicles trilogy. The first book is A Kiss of Deception, and I'm not gonna lie, The Beauty of Darkness was definitely a letdown for me. It just felt really unnecessarily long for what ended up actually happening. The book itself was so long, but the ending was abrupt and sudden and jarring and like weird, and a big part of why I was invested in this story was because of the love triangle that was going on, and Leah, the main character, did not end up with who I thought she should end up with, especially considering some of the events that happen early in this third book. I don't think she made the right choice, personally. And there are some other romantic elements between other characters in this plot that seemed to just come out of left field, and I wasn't really feeling them. But regardless, I mean, it was okay. I enjoyed it, but as a conclusion to a trilogy that I really love, I must say that it was not up to par with the previous 2 books in my opinion, especially considering that the second book, The Heart of Betrayal, was one of my favorite sequels I've ever read. The Beauty of Darkness just was not everything that I was hoping it was going to be. I ended up giving it a 3.5 out of 5 stars, but I honestly am kind of leaning more towards a 3 out of 5 stars now looking back on it. The next book I read during the month of August was actually a reread for me, and that was Uglies by Scott Westerfeld. I reread this as part of the Uglies read-along hosted by Allie over at the Little Librarian during the month of August. Oh, there's like some juice stains on it. Nice, I hadn't noticed those before. Yeah, so I originally read Uglies back in middle school. It was one of my absolute favorites, and I hadn't reread it since middle school, and I was very pleased to find out that it definitely did hold up for me. This world is just like fun. I don't know, the series is just a lot of fun, and Tally Youngblood was like my original kick-ass female character fave. I definitely plan on rereading the rest of this series because I had forgotten so much of what happened during this book, and I also had forgotten that the ending is a total cliffhanger, so now I want to just complete my reread of the trilogy. The last book I completed during the month of August was another reread, and that was Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I reread this as part of the Ostentatious book club that was started by Read by Zoe this month. I actually listened to the audiobook version though. It was narrated by Rosamund Pike. It's been very popular on Audible recently, and I'm glad I listened to it because it was a really great narration. Also, I just enjoyed varying my medium of reading Pride and Prejudice because this is like the umpteenth time I have read this book, probably 8th or 9th time. This book just never gets old. I don't know if I can say anything about it that hasn't already been said a million times, but there is a reason that this is such a well-loved classic. I think it is such an approachable classic, if that makes sense. If you're not into reading classics, I think that if you pick up really any Jane Austen book, but especially Pride and Prejudice, you will see that they're not nearly as intimidating as they might seem. At least some of them are not. I always just forget how witty Jane Austen is. Her characters just jump off the page for me, and now after finishing this reread, I really want to rewatch the Lizzie Bennet Diaries. I gave Pride and Prejudice, of course, a 5 out of 5 stars. Oh, I totally forgot to mention my rating for Uglies. I gave Uglies a 4 out of 5 stars. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so on to my September TBR. When my life is busy like this, when there's a lot going on, I do not really like to plan out my TBRs because I'm a total mood reader, and I get so little time to read that when I do get time to read, I just want to read what I feel like reading, and I don't want to force myself to follow a set TBR. So that being said though, I do have a couple books that I definitely plan on getting to this month. I'm gonna make them a priority, but otherwise I'm gonna leave it open and just follow my heart, so to speak. So the first book that I plan to read during September is Georgia Peaches and Other Forbidden Fruit by J. Robin Brown. If you guys saw my last video, then you would know that I am co-hosting a read-along of this book with my friend Megan from Megan Darling. I will link all of that info down below. I'll probably put a card on the screen. Go watch that video. Please read along with us. It's going to be tons of fun. That video will give you all the info you need to know, and we are going to be doing some fun stuff with this book throughout the month, like giveaways and things like that. So stay tuned to make sure that you're following us so that you know when those are happening. I also definitely plan on reading Persuasion by Jane Austen. This is the September pick for the Ostentatious Book Club. It will be my second time reading Persuasion. This is such a good fall read, I think. It's very autumnal. That's like the best word I can use to describe it, if any of Jane Austen's works can be described as autumnal. And once again, I will link the Ostentatious Book Club down below so you can find out all the info that you need if you would like to join and read some Jane Austen with us every month. The next book that I know that I will definitely be reading during the month of September is Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 5th book in the Throne of Glass series, and it releases on September 6th, I believe. I've already pre-ordered it. I'm so excited for this. The Throne of Glass series is one of my favorites. I know that a lot of people hate it, but I really like it, and at this point I'm just so invested in the characters that I need to know what happens. Very excited to read Empire of Storms. Also nervous, but mostly excited. So as of right now, those are all the books I read during the month of August and all the books I plan to read during the month of September. Let me know down below what you read last month and what you plan on reading this month. I would love to know. Until next time, guys, I'll see you very soon in another video. Bye!